Hey, HappiCrew, HappiDaze here, and in today's video we are going over the new New Year's Anniversary Whitebeard and Ace. So if you watched the unfortunate pull video that I did yesterday, had to go to 30 multis, ended up pulling these guys on part 1, so it is what it is. Let's go ahead and take a look at what this unit can do, see if they're going to be used on a bunch of content, or if they're kind of one-trick ponies or not. So first to note, they are a double character, a dual unit character, so that's good to know, which means that most likely we're going to have a switch mechanic, a super switch that will put them into their dual form, and usually they have some kind of additional gimmick on their captain ability and on their special if they're in that dual form. So that being said, they are a quick powerhouse fighter unit. Powerhouse has a ton of great characters on it. Fighter, not as much, but like I said, the fact that you get both of those classes in both forms is great. It'll help out a lot. There'll be a lot of good synergies that you can do. So let's go ahead and hop right into their captain ability first, see what they can do there. So boost Powerhouse and Fighter characters attack by 6.25 when HP is full or 20% or below. So they either want you to have full HP or super low HP. So I'm guessing there'll be some kind of HP cutting mechanic as part of their kit to help you get to that low percentage. But even if you don't have that, it's still a 6 times attack otherwise, which is still definitely good, definitely doable, and definitely helpful. So they also give a HP buff of 1.3 times, and then reduce damage taken by 20%, so that's always good. And then gives quick tandem recovery slots have matching slot effects, which is 3 slots, matching slot effects is always good. And then reduces the crew's special limit use duration by 10. So this is awesome. Like, it's an annoying buff to when you encounter it. And there's not a ton of units that can counter the limit special. So just having a unit that can do that as part of its captain ability is really cool. I definitely do like that. And then lastly, if the crew uses a special boost attack, extends the duration of the effect by 1 turn. So of course, if you have 2 of these captains, you can extend that by 2 turns, which is super helpful. So pretty much you can get like a 3-turn attack boost if you can get 1 turn of attack up on yourself. So that's good. Love to see that. And then this next part is why I have this image on the left-hand side of the screen that you see here, where basically if certain commanders are on the crew and use a special, then you get an additional buff added on top of that. So you can see on the left-hand side, and this is courtesy of the OPTC DB. So if you use Marco, a special, you will get basically 150 times character's attack as additional type damage for 5 turns. Joser or Odin, you can end up getting the percent damage reduction of buff 1 to 2.5 times. So again, that's great to see. For Thatch, Vista, or Izo, you can ignore debuff, which is always good, and inflict the enemy with increased damage taken by 2.5 for 1 turn. Again, pretty great. And then you have Blomenko and the other guys here will give you get rid of blue shield for 6 turns, which is pretty awesome. And then also give you a little bit of increased damage as well. And then Blenheim and his guys will end up giving you 6 turns of threshold reduction. And then lastly, the last bunch at the bottom there will end up giving you some Rainbow Shield reduction by 6 turns. So what's awesome is that this guy is going to be great if you have a bunch of different gimmicks. You can get around, you bring one of the rare recruits on that I mentioned to the left-hand side there, and get around of a specific gimmick, which is good. The downside to this, however, is that, like, outside of maybe Marco and Odin, like, the rest of these characters, you're not going to see new versions of them, so you're going to have to use the existing versions of them, plus their level limit break ones that have just come out. But you're not going to see, that's the thing that makes characters have longevity, right, is when they can have a bunch of characters on their kits that can end up, you'll have a lot more units. So like the Vegapunk units, for example, even though they might not be perfect now, the fact that they're Vegapunk units and they can boost other Vegapunk units means that in the future, as more come out, they become more valuable or they stay relevant. In this case, for a lot of these rare recruits that they're mentioning for the Whitebeard commanders there, they're not going to have new units coming out of these characters. So you're kind of stuck, like what you have now is what you're going to get. Now, that's not bad because the buffs are pretty good. 6-turn buff removal for a whole bunch of different effects is nothing to scoff at, but that's just one thing to know, is that he's really great utility-wise, but going forward, he might not be as great as buffs with higher numbers of turns come up or things like that. So just keep that in mind. So that's a special, pretty good. Sorry, that was captain ability. That's a pretty good captain ability. Let's go ahead and take a look at his special real quick. So again, usually if you launch special as a double character, you get more effects. That's just kind of standard with dual characters now. Reduces attack down by 10 turns, so that's pretty good. A really annoying debuff to see, a pretty common debuff that we see, so 10 turns is pretty fantastic, and then gives a territory powerhouse to the field for 3 turns. So pretty good, will do a lot more damage there. Powerhouse is a pretty stacked class, so you should be able to do some good stuff there. And you get just additional damage reduction on top of the damage reduction he already provides part of his captain ability, which is awesome. Then it says, if the crew has an attack buff or the chain tap timing bonus has 5 or more turns. Ooh. When the special is launched, then it'll give you a chain multiplier 2.5 for 2 turns. So the good news about this, I would guess, is that, you know, if you have the 2 captains here of the same captain, you know, if you do like a 2-turn boost, right, it will convert that to a 4-turn boost as part of his captain ability there. So that means that if you want to get this chain multiplier aspect of his special, you're going to have basically an attack boost that lasts more than 2 turns. So 3-turn attack boost or more. That will buff it up to 5 with the dual Whitebeard Ace Captain, and then you'll be able to satisfy this condition. But that's kind of a pain to get an attack boost that lasts 3 turns. You know, most last 1 or 2. So that might be just a little bit of a pain to deal with. And then if you have an attack boost active of 3 times or more, it will increase it 1.5 times up to 6. So we've seen this with some other units. That's obviously pretty fantastic. Like I said, you just got to get units that can give you a 3 times or higher buff. And again, you want to try to get a 3 times or higher buff, and you want to try to get that for 5 turns, or at least 3 turns so it gets buffed up to 5. But that'll be I think the tricky part is getting a 3-turn attack boost, especially when it's a 3 times. Like that's a pretty insane attack boost up there. And then he also boosts Powerhouse and Fighter's character's attack for 2 turns based on the number of times the crew has used specials. So if you haven't used any specials, you just get a 3.5. Okay, so that's good. So he gives himself a 3.5 attack, which isn't too bad. Can go up to a 4.5 times attack with 8 or more specials used. So that's actually pretty fantastic, right? So yeah, and the benefit there is that he will buff it up to 4 turns, right? If you have both of those as captains, that 2-turn attack boost becomes a 4-turn attack boost, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, if you can get like a 4.5 and then do the 1.5 on top of that, like you're gonna be doing a ton of damage with this guy, which is pretty cool. And then lastly, on top of that attack boost that he gives, if the character's second class is Cerebral, Free Spirit, or Driven, changes their second class to Powerhouse for 2 turns. So we've seen this mechanic where different units can switch their classes, so that's good. It's a pretty good selection of classes there. There's a lot of Cerebral, Free Spirit, and Driven characters. I don't know how many are in their second slot versus first, so that might be a little gating depending on how much there. But overall, the ability to change that is pretty cool because you will be able to get that buff from the territory. And then, of course, with the Powerhouse and Fighter attack boost, that'll make sure that those units can actually use that attack boost that you get. So overall, like a pretty good special. Like I can't even really complain at all about the special. Like I said, you get a lot of utility from his captain ability. You get a bunch more utility from his special. And yeah, he's going to be an attacking fiend with what he can give in terms of attack boosts. So that being said, let's go ahead and check what his EX Super can do. So when the character becomes Whitebeard and Ace with Super Switch, so this is going to be might be the pain part of this character. We'll see how many switches it takes to get into a Super Switch, but unfortunately, if it's more than like 5, what you'll find is that in content like Kazuna or TM or those where you don't have a lot of stages to get to the boss, like you're not going to be able to swap that much, or it's going to really slow you down having to swap that much unless you have a character like the new Halloween Uta who can reduce that switch effect by 5, right? So depending on how that switch gauge goes, it might be kind of hard to trigger this. But you need 3 of the below characters on the crew, so pretty much Luffy, Garp, Sabo, any of the Whitebeard commanders that are on there. You'll probably be running at least, some of the Whitebeard commanders if you want to get some of that utility from his captain ability. So yeah, it's an interesting mechanic. 3 seems kind of high, to be honest with you. And like I said, the Super Switch is a bit of a pain to have to get it to activate. Now, one thing it doesn't mention here, but I was doing some testing with this unit in regular content, is you can actually trigger his EX Super as a crewmate. So it doesn't say it anywhere on here, I believe. But you can actually launch it as a crewmate, which is awesome. And it'll just give you, more damage. It'll do some powerhouse characters to powerhouse, super powerhouse, fighter to super fighter. Just give you more damage. Also helps trigger Luffy's conditional there to get him into Gear 5. So, of course, you like that. But yeah, the fact that you can do this as a crewmate is pretty huge and pretty awesome. Let's go check his switch ability real quick after we do his crewmate ability. So basically just attack boost. It's whatever, 1.1 times damage boost, which is just kind of whatever. And again, makes Powerhouse and Fighters quick slots have slot effects, so that first effect is just kind of meh. Reduces charge time by 1 when another Powerhouse or Fighter character uses special. So that's good, right? Because the special wants you to use specials a bunch of times. We want to be firing off a bunch of specials so we can get that 4.5 times attack boost. And basically this will just help your Whitebeard be able to go quicker and quicker. So that is good. That's a pretty good crewmate ability, like that. All right, his switch effect. Oh, it's 8. 8 is way too high for this unit. Like, this is going to be a pain. Whether you're stalling or, yeah, that's like, 8 is just stupidly high with no other way to lower it. Yeah, it is what it is. Like, but let's see what it actually does. So, in the base switch effect, removes characters' paralysis and slot bind. Kind of whatever. And gives you a chain multiplier growth rate up until 0.4. So a little bit of a boost to the chain tap multiplier there, but nothing kind of too crazy. And it's only for 1 turn. It can be overwritten, which is good, I guess. But yeah, kind of a meh switch effect. Let's see what his super switch does. So again, completely removes character's paralysis and slot bind. And affects the chain multiplier growth rate up until 0.7. So that's pretty good. That's do some more damage, and with the 4 times attack up to, you can potentially buff that up to near 6. That's pretty good. Again, it does it for 1 turn and becomes the Whitebeard and Ace dual unit there. So this is what you want to obviously do super switch before you do your special, so you can get the most out of the benefits there. So yeah, I mean, the switch effect is okay, but the 8 turns is like super high. It should have been like 5. Like 5 or 6 would have been much better. 8's just really high there. He does have, in terms of potential abilities, he does have a rush out there. Yeah, just gives, and you need 2 of the characters. So it's a little bit less restrictive than his EX, which is good. And yeah, I'll just give you some additional damage there, but nothing kind of too crazy. Like, I don't think people are going to go crazy trying to max out his Rush Sugo special, just because, like, he'll do a lot of damage, but that's probably not the main part of his kit. So that's being said, let's go ahead and check out what he can do for Rumble. I think this is honestly where he is going to be, like, fantastic out of his kit that he has. So take a look at his leader ability first. So at level 5 at maxed, Powerhouse Fighter Class teammates attack up 6, HP up 6, gives himself a self attack up 10, speed up 10, and then similar to Yamato, when you're KO'd, you launch your special. So that's awesome. That was an awesome mechanic for Yamato. Let's see how it is for him. Unfortunately, I would have liked to see, some defense or something like that, or CT. Don't see that. But yeah, getting like a plus 16 to himself, like off the bat, is going to be pretty insane there. So hopefully his special like does like a bunch of damage through defense or something like that. But let's see. So CT is 35. Wow. So that is a super high CT. So this better do some good stuff. So we target self for attack up level 7. So he'll give himself, up to, what is it, 22, 23 attack up if you launch this with the base captain ability that he gives you there. Defense up level 7. Okay, you like to see that. Definitely like that. Targets 3 enemies with high current HP for attack times 5. That's a pretty good shot. Unfortunately, it doesn't go through defense, so that kind of brings it down a little bit. But still, attack times 5 is nothing to scoff at, especially if you're able to get this guy's special off and then he dies. You can do it twice. That will be really helpful. And then he also gives speed down level 5, which is just whatever. Like, that's not like a huge debuff to the enemy there. And then lastly, if 5 or more Powerhouse Fighter characters are on the team, targets team for 100% chance to remove stat reducing effects. Yeah, so any effects that you get, whether it's speed down or those kind of effects that you get from the enemy, he'll just reduce them. So it is kind of what it is. Like, it just is what it is. And then lastly, when the remaining HP is below 1%, so this is when he gets triggered when he dies, you get 1 high attack teammate for attack up level 15 for 15 seconds and speed up level 15 for 15 seconds. So it's okay, I guess. Like, it's not that great. Like, I would have liked him to do another hit. Like, they want you to be able to do damage, right? That's why they give you attack times 5. Would have been better if he did like another death shot. I think that would have been a little bit more helpful. Could have really helped get things going over there. So that being said, let's go ahead and see if he has any GP stats, anything that will make him stick out there. Sorry, let me go to GP stats here. So for his GP leader skill, he gives quick type teammates defense, speed, and HP up level 6, which is not terrible. I like to see defense up. And then gives powerhouse fighter driven class teammates attack level 6, special CT up level 4. So that's pretty good. There's a lot of good powerhouse teams out there, a lot of good driven teams out there. Fighters kind of slowly getting up there. But yeah, you're going to be building teams that are powerhouse driven focused to take advantage probably of the CT speed. So yeah, like not a terrible GP leader ability, not the worst. And then lastly, let's check his burst. So you can use it 2 times. Targets quick type powerhouse fighter driven class teammates for attack up level 10. Wowzers, that's a good amount. Then targets all enemies for 70% HP reduction. That is nuts. Yeah, like when we thought 50 was high, now he's doing 70 off the bat. Then it gives them 100% chance of half stats for 10 seconds, and then targets 4 enemies with the high special CT for attack times 4. Yeah, like that's pretty nuts. That will probably mostly wipe out a team. Now I'm trying to think of scenarios where you really use this. Like, in order to trigger this, you have to let's see what the trigger is. So when 6 teammates are defeated, so that means that like, are you going to be running 3 sacrificial units on your front line, let them die, and then kind of run like a squad of 5 legends? Is that kind of the game plan there? Obviously, this is going to be pretty crazy when you're facing an opponent who has this guy as his GP captain, because let's say you win the first fight, right? You've knocked out at least 8 of his units. That means coming into the second fight, he's going to launch this special right away, probably wipe out your crew, win that second match, and then it'll be kind of close coming down to that third match, right? If you're able to defeat his front line and one other one, then he's just going to use his special and nuke you. So this guy is going to be not fun to deal with, I don't think, in Grand Party. If you were to ask me, is he better than the Int Luffy or the new Strength Luffy? I would say probably not, but this guy's going to be a menace to deal with. Like, if you see the GP leader, you're probably going to want to avoid him. Like, it's probably much safer to fight a Sai Luffy or one of those units than to come after this guy. So we'll do some videos. Obviously, we pulled them. So we'll do some videos of what he does when GP starts, and just see like how much of a menace he can actually be. But that special is gonna just wipe a whole line. Like, that should be no problem with the half stats and the damage and the 70% reduction. Like, yeah, it's just gonna wipe out a whole front line. So he'll be really fun to play with, definitely. We'll just have to play around and see like what's the right conditions to get him triggered to be able to use it on demand, and when we kind of want to be able to use it. So that's gonna wrap up this review of this unit. Obviously, as I mentioned, like he's pretty good. If I had to say, like, is he better than Sabo? I think utility-wise, he's definitely better than Sabo. The ability to get rid of, any of the buffs that are seen on the left-hand side of the screen there. The ability to give yourself an attack boost up to 6 times. The ability to extend that attack boost, up to 2 turns more if he's a captain. Like, that's a lot of good utility there. So I think for the moment, I'm probably placing him above Sabo. So obviously I haven't done the Luffy video yet, so I don't have the final tier list. But I think currently in my ranking list, it will go Whitebeard first, and then Sabo second, and then we'll place Luffy when we get there. But that's gonna wrap it up for me today. Let me know if you were able to pull this guy. Have you used him in any content yet? And of course, as always, I'm gonna do a live stream tonight, trying to go for Luffy on part 2. He's the one that I only wanted on this Sugofest, so we'll get 2 of the new units at least. If we are able to pull Luffy relatively quick, then we're gonna stop there and probably hop onto the Sabo banner when his part comes out. But yeah, we'll be pulling definitely for Luffy tonight. We have a live stream going on YouTube, so definitely stay tuned for that. Join me if you want. We're gonna try to pull him, and like I said, if we pull him quick, we'll just do some fooling around with him and things like that on the stream. So it'll be at least like an hour and a half that we'll have a stream tonight. So make sure you check in. Let me know if you were able to pull this guy, like I said, and if you like him so far. And as always, until next time, be kind to each other.